The moment the seatbelt warning dinged for the third time, I realized she wasn't coming. I sat in the driveway for 6 minutes, engine running, suitcase in the trunk, Spotify playlist titled Weekend Reconnect, ready to go. All that was missing was my wife. She said she just had to grab her water bottle. That was 27 minutes ago. When I finally went back inside, she was on the couch, in leggings but barefoot, scrolling on her phone like she'd never planned to leave the house at all. "You coming?" I asked. She didn't even glance up. "Go alone. I don't care." Like that. Not even pretending to soften it. No guilt. No explanation. Just an offhand dismissal, like I'd asked if she wanted the last slice of pizza. Not if she wanted to save our crumbling marriage with a weekend getaway I'd been planning for 2 months. I stood there longer than I should have. Waiting. For what? An apology? A change of tone? Maybe even a glance that said, "I see you. I still choose you." None of that came. Instead, she said, "You're going to be late if you just stand there." I laughed. I actually laughed. Short and sharp like a hiccup. "Not going alone," I said, grabbing my keys again. "Your friend's coming with me." And for the first time in a long, long time, she actually looked up. I didn't wait for her response. I didn't slam the door. I didn't need to. The silence behind me was loud enough. I drove 5 blocks in complete disbelief, pulled into a gas station, and parked behind the dumpster just to breathe. I was shaking, not because I'd lied, because I hadn't. Kelsey, her best friend since college, had messaged me a few days earlier. Nothing weird. She'd asked if we were still going on the trip. I said I wasn't sure. Marlena had been cold lately, distant, busy with some new yoga instructor at her studio. Then Kelsey wrote something I couldn't unread. "If she bails, you shouldn't waste the cabin. You deserve better company." I didn't respond. Not until now. I opened her message, typed. She bailed. 3 dots appeared instantly. Then one word. "Where do I meet you?" Kelsey met me behind a shuttered diner on the edge of town, where the highway begins to forget about houses and starts whispering about forests. She wore a hoodie over her tank top, leggings, and beat-up sneakers. No makeup, no earrings. Just her, holding a duffel bag like we were escaping something. Maybe we were. She didn't ask if Marlena really told me to go alone. She didn't need to. She just looked at my face, read from holding back a scream I hadn't earned the right to release, and gave a slow nod. "She doesn't deserve you," she said. 3 seconds later, she buckled her seatbelt and stared ahead, waiting for me to drive. The thing is, the trip was never supposed to be exciting. It was supposed to be a repair, a glue job, a tiny fire in a cold room. Marlena had said she was overstimulated lately and needed space to breathe. So I thought a weekend in the Pines, no phones, no obligations, would let us breathe together. Instead, I was driving into the woods with her best friend beside me. We didn't talk much at first. I think we were both afraid of what might come out. The quiet between us wasn't awkward. It was fragile. Like if we disturbed it, the whole plan would fall apart. About an hour in, Kelsey finally spoke. Not a question, just a statement. She's been calling him Jace in her sleep. I didn't respond. Not because I didn't know who Jace was, but because I'd been pretending not to. Jace was the new yoga instructor at her studio. Younger, sharper jawline, taught energy alignment, and had a six-pack that looked photoshopped even in real life. Marlena had invited him to our dinner once. I remembered the way she leaned toward him when he talked about vibrational boundaries. I'd laughed. She hadn't. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. "When did you notice?" "A month ago," Kelsey said. "I stayed over after her birthday." She crashed on the couch next to me, kept saying his name in her sleep, moaning it. I flinched. "I'm sorry," she added softly. "No, you're not," I said, immediately regretting it. She didn't react, just stared at the road ahead like it wasn't winding or dangerous. We arrived at the cabin just before sunset. The place was gorgeous, cedar walls, a small porch, and the scent of pine that made you feel like the world might still be good, somewhere. But inside me, something was shifting, breaking in places I didn't know were cracked. As we unpacked, I kept waiting for Kelsey to ask why me. Why did I call her? Why did I make that move? But she never asked. Instead, she set her duffel on the guest bed, looked at the fireplace, and said, "Want me to light it?" I nodded. She paused. "Do you want me to act like this is normal?" I finally met her eyes. "Nothing about this is normal." She gave the faintest smile. "Good. Then maybe it's real." The fire took a while to catch. But when it did, It lit the entire cabin in a way that made the world feel like a place where broken things could be warm again. And just as I started to think maybe I could feel again, my phone buzzed. 3 missed calls. All from Marlena. Then a text. Where are you? Did you seriously go with her? And then, tell me this is a joke. But it wasn't. I turned off the phone, set its screen down on the wooden counter, and joined Kelsey by the fire. But in the back of my mind, I knew this was only the beginning. Marlena didn't care when I left. Now she cared too much. I didn't sleep that night. The fire crackled. The wind whispered through the pine trees. Kelsey snored softly from the guest room across the hall. And I just lay there on that oversized bed, staring at the exposed beams on the ceiling, waiting for the guilt to arrive. But it didn't. Not guilt, at least. Something else showed up instead. Something colder. Like a realization. A closing door. Marlena had called 3 more times before midnight. Then she stopped. I imagined her pacing barefoot in the kitchen, one hand gripping a mug of that overpriced green tea she loved, the other flipping through our wedding photos, more out of pride than pain. Marlena didn't mourn people. She analyzed their weaknesses. If she felt anything, it was probably insult. Around 4 a.m., I finally drifted off. But I was up again by 6, boiling water for coffee and watching the fog curl around the trees like secrets. Kelsey joined me 20 minutes later, wrapped in a blanket and yawning like she hadn't just stepped into the middle of a crumbling marriage. We didn't talk about the texts. Instead, we ate scrambled eggs in silence, watched 2 deer step through the clearing, and pretended we were just 2 people on a getaway. But reality came knocking sooner than I expected, loud, fast, and insistent. At 10:13 a.m., Marlena called again. This time I answered. I don't know why. Curiosity, maybe. Or maybe part of me still needed to hear something, anything, from her lips that made this feel like it hadn't all been a one-sided love story. Kent, she said immediately. Her voice wasn't angry. It was tight, like she'd rehearsed something. Tell me Kelsey isn't there. I didn't respond. Seriously, she snapped. You actually took my friend? That's disgusting. I walked outside, away from the cabin, stepping barefoot onto the cold deck planks. You told me to go alone. That doesn't mean go with my best friend. Then what did it mean, Marlena? My voice cracked. Because you've been emotionally gone for months. You show up physically, but mentally? You've been somewhere else entirely. Don't act shocked, I noticed. She went quiet. Not because I was wrong, but because she hated hearing it from me. And then, with venom she didn't even try to mask, she said, You've just proven you're every bit as small as I thought you were. I laughed, bitter and tired. You told me to go. And you told me you loved me, she said. Then you disappear with her the same day? You know what this looks like, right? You think people won't find out? Let them, I said. Let them hear both sides. You think Kelsey's innocent? She spat. You think she just wanted to be there for you? You're not the first married man she's latched onto. My throat tightened. What are you talking about? She snorted. You're unbelievable. Ask her about Phoenix. Ask her about Tyler. I froze. The call ended without another word. I stood there in the cold for a full minute, trying to steady my breathing, staring at the trees like they might offer answers. Tyler? Phoenix? What the hell was that? When I stepped back inside, Kelsey was standing in the kitchen, hands wrapped around a coffee mug, looking at me like she already knew what was coming. I swallowed hard. Who's Tyler? She didn't blink. Her voice was low, calm. So she told you. You gonna lie to me? No, she said. But you're not ready for the full truth either. And then she placed her mug down, walked past me, and said, Let's go for a walk. You need to hear it all, but not in here. I followed her, heart racing. Because if Marlena was the one betraying me, why did it feel like everyone knew more than I did? We didn't take the forest trail like most people would. Kelsey led me through the sloped edge behind the cabin, down a muddy incline covered in pine needles, where tree branches curved overhead like a tunnel. The sky was pale gray, not quite threatening rain, but heavy with it. The kind of air that makes secrets feel heavier. She didn't speak for the first few minutes. Just walked steadily, boots crunching over wet roots, hands in her jacket pockets. I followed behind, running the names in my head like a mental crime scene. Tyler, Phoenix, Jace, my wife, her friend, me. Somewhere in that twisted web, someone was lying more than the rest. We stopped at a flat boulder that jutted out over a steep ridge, overlooking miles of pine. She sat down, legs dangling. I stayed standing, arms crossed like they could shield me. I'm not going to defend everything I've done, she started, voice firm. But your wife? She's not innocent, Kent. And she's definitely not loyal. Tell me about Tyler, I said. She looked at me, then out toward the trees again. Phoenix. 2 years ago. She brought me with her to a business conference. I didn't want to go. She insisted. Said I needed a getaway. That's where I met Tyler. He was married. He was miserable. Marlena pushed me to loosen up. She played matchmaker, basically. My jaw tightened. You hooked up with a married man? Yes, she said. And I hated myself for it. But your wife made it seem like fun. Like it was harmless. She said, and I quote, if their marriage was solid, he wouldn't be looking. She manipulated both of us, Kent. It wasn't the first time she orchestrated drama just to watch it burn. You didn't stop her? I asked, voice sharp. She looked at me, eyes glossy but not wet. I tried. I distanced myself. We stopped talking for 6 months. But Marlena's the kind of person who doesn't let you go. She reels you back in with charm and apologies and tears. And you tell yourself maybe this time she means it. And then you wake up in a cabin with someone's husband and a guilt that doesn't wash off. I didn't speak. I was afraid if I opened my mouth, I'd scream. Kelsey went on. I shouldn't have come with you. That part's true. But I didn't do it to spite her. I came because I needed to see if you were still the person I thought you were. I turned away, trying to swallow the lump in my throat. What does that even mean? She stood up slowly, brushing pine needles off her jacket. Back when you and Marlena first started dating, she used to call you boring. Said you were safe. Predictable. But I saw something else. I saw someone who cared. Who gave everything, even when no one asked. Someone who deserved a kind of loyalty she never had any intention of giving. And now, I asked bitterly, now you think what? That I'm just stupid enough to fall for the friend too? She stepped toward me, not blinking. No, I think you're finally waking up. A gust of wind passed through the trees, sharp and cold. I shivered, but not from the air. I wanted to hate Kelsey. I really did. For going along with Marlena's twisted games. For being part of this whole poisoned orbit. But I also saw something in her that I hadn't seen in Marlena for over a year. Remorse. As we walked back toward the cabin, I asked one more question. Did Marlena ever mention Jace? Before she started acting distant? Kelsey didn't hesitate. He was her breathwork coach. She said he helped her release trapped tension. I stopped walking. Kelsey turned back to me slowly. She told me once, she added, that she thought about leaving you. But that if she ever did, she'd make you feel like it was your fault. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Back at the cabin, my phone was buzzing again. Marlena. This time, she didn't text. She sent a video. A 30-second clip. From our bedroom. From last week. And it wasn't of us. It was of her. With him. Smiling. Looking directly into the camera. Like she wanted me to see. I didn't watch the whole thing. I couldn't. 30 seconds was enough. Marlena had always been calculated. From the way she arranged the throw pillows on the couch to how she staged her lunch salads for Instagram. Nothing was ever accidental. So the fact that the video had perfect lighting, soft music in the background, and her looking right into the lens while she was wrapped up in another man, it wasn't spontaneous. It was a warning shot. I stood frozen in the kitchen, phone in my hand, breath stuck in my chest. Kelsey noticed immediately. What happened? She asked, already stepping closer. I didn't respond. I just showed her the screen. Her face went pale. She recorded it, she whispered. She sent it. I said through clenched teeth. The silence that followed was suffocating. Kelsey set down her mug and stared at the fire like it could burn away what we'd just seen. But I couldn't stand still anymore. I walked outside, barefoot again, gravel biting into my soles, needing the pain to focus. My wife, my actual, legal wife, had just filmed herself cheating and sent it to me, like a trophy. 10 minutes later, another text came in. I hope she's worth it. No context. No apology. No shame. Just that. Then a second message. I told Jace. He wants to meet. At first I thought I'd read it wrong. But then the phone buzzed again, an address. A place just outside town. A stupid little tea cafe with bamboo walls and floor cushions. I recognized it. She dragged me there once for some full moon release ceremony, where they burned wishes and drank lavender sludge. I spent the whole time pretending to meditate while she flirted with the barista. Now she wanted him to meet me there? I walked back inside, tossing the phone on the counter. She wants me to meet Jace, I said, barely recognizing my own voice. Kelsey's expression darkened instantly. Don't. She already sent the video. What else is left? She wants a reaction, she said firmly. Don't give her the performance she's looking for. I sat down hard on the couch, running both hands through my hair. You think I should just ignore it? I think she's setting you up. That landed. I knew Marlena well enough to know she hated being ignored, but she loved being in control. And if she had sent that clip, she was either trying to hurt me or provoke something bigger. But then something else hit me. She's bluffing, I muttered. Kelsey tilted her head. About what? She's not with him anymore. The video was from last week. If she really wanted to rub it in, it would have been live. She's trying to cover something up. This is a smokescreen. Kelsey slowly sat down beside me. So what's she hiding? I didn't answer. My brain was already racing. Marlena never did anything without layers. If she sent the video now, it wasn't because she wanted to show off. It was because something behind the curtain was about to slip, and she needed me too distracted or too emotionally broken to notice. I reopened her text. He wants to meet. What if Jace didn't know she was married? What if she was trying to clean up the mess before the timeline caught up with her lies? Kelsey touched my arm gently. Do you want me to go with you? I looked at her. Really looked. This woman who'd been pulled into Marlena's chaos, who had her own mistakes, her own regrets, but who, in the last 48 hours, had been more honest with me than my wife had in years. No, I said quietly, but I need you to do something. Anything. Keep your phone on. If I'm not back in an hour, call Trevor. My brother? She asked. No, my lawyer. Her eyes widened. Kent, what are you planning? I'm not planning anything, I said as I grabbed my coat. But I think Marlena just started a war. And I'm not walking into it blind. The tea cafe looked like someone's Pinterest board had exploded and settled into place. String lights draped from the ceiling like vines. The scent of ginger and cardamom clung to everything. A sign out front said, "Alignment starts within." I half expected someone to ask my aura color before letting me in. But Jace didn't make me wait. He was already there, sitting cross-legged on a low cushion, sipping some steaming herbal brew with both hands like it was sacred. His man bun was tighter than I remembered. His smile wasn't smug. That surprised me. I approached slowly, unsure of what kind of performance Marlena had scripted for this scene. Jace noticed me and stood immediately, extending his hand. Kent, right? I shook it reluctantly. She said you might show up angry. He added with a strange mix of nervousness and sincerity. Glad you're not. That threw me. She said I'd show up? He nodded. Yeah, yesterday. Said you two were having space. That you were okay with what we had. That it was a mutual separation. Mutual separation. I almost laughed. Marlena was rewriting the script in real time and casting herself as the misunderstood spiritual seeker while I got to be the background character in my own marriage. So, I said carefully, you and her, you're a thing? His face flickered. Were. He took a breath. Look, I'm not here to cause problems. I thought she was single. She told me she was married, but separated. I only found out yesterday that you two still live together. That you were still trying. I didn't know, man. I wouldn't have if I knew. She sent me a video, I said, cutting him off. His eyes narrowed. Of what? You and her. Together. From last week. He looked stunned. Actually stunned. His mouth opened slightly, and his head tilted as if trying to process it. She filmed that, he asked, voice low. She sent it. He dropped his gaze, slowly setting down his tea. She told me that night was a goodbye. Said it was closure. That she was moving on from it all. She cried. Told me I was helping her heal. I didn't know I was being used. It was strange. I came there ready to hate him. But now, I just saw another person Marlena had molded, shaped, fed half-truths to. Another puppet. Maybe I wasn't special in how I was broken. I was just one of many. She invited you here to what? I asked. To apologize, he said honestly. To clarify. She said you'd take it better from me. That maybe it would help you let go if you knew she was moving on peacefully. But she left out a lot, clearly. I stared at him. She used you. He didn't deny it. Instead, he looked ashamed. I thought she was lost, not cruel. But now I think she's both. The door chimed. We both turned. Marlena. Of course. She walked in like she owned the air. Hair down, sunglasses still on indoors, wearing a flowy white shawl like she was auditioning for a cult. She spotted us instantly and smiled like we were old friends meeting up for tea. "Look at you two," she cooed, sliding into the space between us. "So mature, so grounded. I'm proud of you both." I said nothing. Jace stood frozen. She turned to me, eyes wide and unbothered. "Kent, I know it's been a lot, but this doesn't have to be dramatic. I'm not the enemy here." "You sent me a private recording," I said flatly. She blinked. "It wasn't a private recording. It was just a reminder." "A reminder of what?" I asked. "That you were cheating?" "That I was changing," she said, leaning in. "You never saw the version of me I was trying to become. You held on to who I used to be. This," she gestured at herself and Jace, "was me moving forward. You filmed it," Jace said coldly, "without telling me." She looked at him, surprised. "Oh, please, don't act like you wouldn't have said yes." "You lied," he said. "About everything." "Don't be dramatic," she replied, brushing it off. "Everyone lies a little, especially when they're afraid of being abandoned." Then she turned back to me. "I need something from you, Kent." I tilted my head. "Excuse me. My lawyer said we should handle it quietly," she continued, as if nothing awkward had happened. "I need you to sign the transfer paperwork. For the condo." I laughed out loud. "You want the condo?" Her voice softened. "It's not personal. It's practical. I'm already moving out emotionally. We should just finalize the material things." "And sending that video was part of the legal strategy?" She didn't flinch. "I needed you to let go. Now that you have, we can move cleanly. Please don't drag this out." I leaned in slowly, calmly, and said, "You're not getting the condo." Her lips thinned. Her charm slipped. "You can keep your little videos, your crystals, your lies. But you don't get to rewrite history and steal the house I paid for while you were out playing spiritual predator." "Fine," she snapped. "Then I guess we do this the hard way." "Try," I whispered. She stood, threw her shawl over her shoulder, and stormed out. Jace remained seated. He stared at the door for a long time, then turned to me. "I didn't know she was that good at manipulation," he said. "Now you do," I replied. My phone buzzed as we left. "Kelsey." She just called me. "I think she's planning something." By the time I got back to the cabin, the sky had bruised over. The pines leaned like they were listening, and I swear even the forest felt like it was holding its breath. I didn't turn on the lights. I just stood in the doorway, letting the cold follow me inside. Kelsey was sitting on the floor in front of the fireplace, legs crossed, eyes on the flames like she'd been trying to find answers in them. She looked up the moment I closed the door. "She's not done," she said quietly. "She never is," I muttered, pulling off my coat. "She wants the condo. That's what this was all about." Kelsey shook her head slowly. "It's not just about property." I sighed, collapsing onto the couch. "What is it this time? Some emotional vendetta? Revenge for me daring to be unhappy?" She called me. Kelsey said, 15 minutes ago. Told me I was being used. That you'll leave me the moment you've gotten your point across. Said I was a prop in your pity play." That hit harder than I expected. Not because I believed it, but because I knew it was exactly the kind of thing Marlena would say. Twist the truth until it sounded like prophecy. "What did you say?" I asked. Kelsey stared at me, firelight dancing in her eyes. I said maybe I am a prop, but I'd rather be a prop to someone who's waking up than a puppet in someone else's game. I swallowed hard. That kind of loyalty, that quiet, fragile honesty, it had been missing from my life for years. Before I could respond, headlights cut through the front windows. We both froze. A car door slammed. Another. Then a knock. 3 sharp raps on the cabin door, like the beginning of a bad dream. Kelsey stood, tense. "I didn't invite anyone," I whispered. "I know," she said. I opened the door. Marlena stood on the porch with a man in a suit beside her. He was tall, built like someone who lifted weights more than paper, and carried a briefcase that looked like it had seen too many courtrooms. Marlena was dressed in all black, slacks, silk blouse, a belt that probably cost more than my monthly car payment. She wasn't here to cry. She was here to conquer. "Kent," she said smoothly. "This is Elliot, my attorney." The man gave a nod but didn't offer a hand. He looked past me into the cabin, eyes flicking toward Kelsey for half a second before returning to me. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice low. "We're here to present a proposal," she said, as if this was some pleasant Sunday brunch discussion. "At night, unannounced, to my vacation cabin." "It's still joint marital property," she snapped, and just like that, the facade cracked. "I'm legally allowed to visit." Cut to the chase, I said, stepping aside just enough to avoid a scene on the porch. They entered. Elliot didn't sit. He opened his briefcase and pulled out a folder thick with printed documents. This is a proposed settlement agreement, he said, flipping through pages. It allows Ms. Wexley to retain sole ownership of the Jefferson Street condo, her vehicle, and a portion of the joint savings. In exchange, she waives any claim to your pension and future income. I laughed. Loud. Bitter. She wants the condo and money? After lying, cheating, and turning my life into a circus? She's being generous, Elliot said coolly. If this goes to court, the narrative becomes more complicated. I stepped forward. Let me be perfectly clear, counselor. I have copies of her messages, the video she sent me, and testimonies from people she lied to, including Jace. If anyone wants a war, they can have it. But I'm done playing defense. Kelsey moved beside me, silent, unshaken. Marlena's eyes flicked between us, and for a split second, something in her expression cracked. Not rage, not sadness, fear. You think this will end well for you? She asked quietly. I don't need it to end well, I said. I just need it to end. Elliot closed the folder, but didn't seem surprised. This was just an opening shot. Marlena turned to leave, but paused at the door. You'll regret humiliating me, Kent. You're not built for war. Then it's a good thing I've got nothing left to lose, I replied. They left without another word. I closed the door behind them and locked it, more symbol than necessity. The room was quiet again, but not peaceful. Kelsey sat back down and exhaled deeply. She's going to go nuclear, she said. I nodded. Let her. And then my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. One message. Check your email before midnight. Or someone else will. My heart dropped. This wasn't about property anymore. This was about destruction. I didn't check the email right away. I sat there for a long time, staring at my phone like it was something radioactive. Kelsey was curled on the couch under a blanket, watching me silently, waiting for me to make the next move. I don't know how long the fire had been dying, but the room had cooled. The quiet was heavier now. Eventually, I opened my laptop and connected to the cabin's Wi-Fi. The moment my inbox refreshed, I saw it. An email with no subject, from a burner address, time-stamped 11:38 p.m. I clicked. It was a folder link, containing over 20 attachments. Screenshots, recordings, voice memos. I scanned through them slowly, numb at first, then growing cold. This wasn't just about our marriage. Marlena had collected things, conversations I'd had with coworkers, comments pulled from social media, even screenshots from private support forums where I vented anonymously during our rough patches. Things I'd written under fake names, thinking they were safe. She had pieced together a narrative, carefully and maliciously, one that painted me as unstable, emotionally erratic, and manipulative. Her plan was clear now. If I didn't roll over and give her what she wanted, she would start leaking it. Not for sympathy, but to ruin me professionally. Publicly. Permanently. But what she didn't know was that I'd already started documenting everything too. I spent the next 3 hours gathering files. Backups. Timestamps. Messages. Phone records. I put together a digital timeline that exposed not just her lies, but her pattern, her manipulation of friends, her documented infidelity, her prior NDA-covered legal settlement from a company she previously worked at after she accused a married executive of harassment, which we now both knew had much Messier origins. By 4 a.m., I had everything ready, and I didn't send it to her. I sent it to her attorney, her workplace's HR director, and to my own lawyer, Trevor. Then, I shut the laptop, sat back, and stared at the ceiling. I had nothing left to prove. No speech to give. No dramatic showdown. This wasn't a movie. It was a quiet ending. That morning, I made eggs. Kelsey helped toast the bread. We didn't talk much. We didn't need to. For the first time in a long time, there was a strange peace in the silence. Later that week, I got a call from Trevor. He was laughing. Marlena's lawyer just folded like wet cardboard. Full withdrawal. No claim to the condo. No claim to the account. She signed a mutual divorce agreement with a non-disparagement clause. You're free, Kent. Free. I didn't cry. I thought I would. But the feeling wasn't sadness. It was weightlessness. 2 weeks later, Marlena moved out of the apartment in the city. She sent one last message, 4 words. You won't forget me. I didn't reply. She was right. But I wasn't going to remember her the way she wanted. 3 months passed. The sun started showing up more. I went back to work, fixed the AC, repainted the bedroom. And as for Kelsey, she didn't rush anything. Neither did I. We took walks. We made late-night pancakes. We sat quietly and listened to music. And over time, something grew, not out of revenge, not out of trauma, but out of clarity. She saw me for what I was. And she stayed. Not because I was perfect, but because I wasn't pretending anymore. And neither was she.